Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be doing a video all about the top 10 books that I'm planning on reading in 2020. So in years past, I feel like this list has been cursed. Like a lot of times I'll be like, these are the 10 books that I'm reading, and then I read half of them or almost none of them. I am definitely going to be breaking that this year. In my channel update video, I talked about how I'm planning on getting to a lot of books that have been on my TBR for a long time and getting to a lot of books that are in genres outside of what I typically read. So I put together a list of 10 books that I'm really excited for. They're all different genres. Like I just picked a whole lot of different things. You'll see what I mean when I get started, which should be now. So the first book on my TBR is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgkin Burnett. This is a classic that I have wanted to read for so long, and now is the time. Alexa and I have actually planned to buddy read this in January, so it's one that I know that I am 100% getting to. I'm really excited to do so. I have this beautiful Minalima edition. I also have an audiobook version where Karen Gillan is reading it. I think I'm gonna listen to Karen Gillan tell the story and read along with this beautiful Minalima edition at the same time. I also really wanted to get to this one because the new Secret Garden film is gonna be coming out in 2020, and I really want to have read the source material before I see that film. And I also really enjoyed A Little Princess, which was by the same author. So yeah, I've been meaning to get to this. I really wanted to read this in 2019 and then I didn't, and now I'm going to. The next book on my list is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This one was one of the Reese Witherspoon book club picks of the month, and I have heard such high praise for it. The premise sounds pretty interesting. It's an adult book and it follows a girl. I think she was just like abandoned by her family in marshes in like North Carolina, and she has to kind of fend for herself, and she lives in a small town. Yeah, I've just heard people say the best things about it, so I've been wanting to pick it up and keep putting it off, but I'm not gonna do that anymore. I rearranged my bookshelves and it just took me so long to find this next book. Next on my list is Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater. I have been so highly anticipating this book. It's the continuation of The Raven Cycle. It's a new trilogy focusing on Ronan, who is one of the characters from The Raven Cycle. I'm not sure if you can actually read this if you haven't read The Raven Cycle, but The Raven Cycle is one of my favorite young adult series of all time. I've read it multiple times and I love it so much, and I really just cannot wait to get to this one. I spent a lot of November trying to catch up on a bunch of series, and December I feel like I'm doing some TBR housekeeping while I wade through a big stack of books that I'm trying to decide whether I want to read or not. So I just decided that I'm gonna save Call Down the Hawk for probably January. Next on my list is Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I read A Man Called Uwe last year and I really loved it, so I definitely want to read more of his books. I know that this is supposed to be a trilogy and there are currently 2 books out. I don't know if there is a release date or anything for the 3rd book, but again, it's something that I've heard very good things about, so I've been wanting to dive into it. And yeah, this is high priority for me. I'm actually hoping to make my way through a lot of Frederick Bachman's backlist. The next book on my list I actually currently have an ebook version of, and that is My Dear Hamilton by Stephanie Dre and Laura Camoy. From what I understand, this delves very deep into the life of Eliza Schuyler, and it doesn't only recount her dealing with Hamilton cheating on her, it's also about her kind of being a founding mother of America, and it's pretty long. It's like 652 pages, so I know that it's going to take a little while, but I obviously loved Hamilton the musical, and I thought that Eliza was a really great character in there, so I'm really interested in learning more about her, and I thought that this book seemed really appealing. Next on my list is Dark Fever by Karen Marie Moning. I mentioned this in my last video that I really want to read a lot more urban fantasy in 2020, and this is a series that I feel like I'm really gonna enjoy. I know that there are fae in it, and that is like a buzzword for me when it comes to books. I've heard really good things about it from my friend Rachel, who loved the series, so I'm quite excited to read it. Number 7 on my list is Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody. This is a book that I picked up in April and I haven't gotten to it just yet. The reason that I picked it up is because I went to the launch event for The Devouring Grey at Books of Wonder. Listening to Amanda Foody talk about Ace of Shades got me really excited about it, and she was also talking about how much she loves anime and Studio Ghibli, and she said that there was a character in here that's inspired by someone from Spirited Away, day. So ever since then, I was just like, wow, I really need to read this book, and I don't know why I haven't gotten to it yet. So this is for sure happening. Next on my list is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm probably one of the last people on BookTube that hasn't read this book, but Daisy Jones and the Six was one of my favorite books of 2019, and I'm really curious about this one because it's gotten so much buzz in the past. I also really like the idea of reading something set in like old Hollywood. I guess I kind of wanted to wait for the hype to die down before I dove into it because everyone was talking about it for so long and I just like, it was too much. But I think I'm finally ready. Next is another book that I have said that I was going to read for years, and I just flat out refused to let another year go by without me reading this book, and that is Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier. I am ashamed that this book is still on my TBR. It has made it past so many unhauls that I've done. It's something that I'm actually like very excited to get to, and I don't know why I've just put it off for so long. So I am not going to. I'm putting it on this list because I really want to hold myself accountable. I really want to read this. Not quite sure what month I'm going to read it in just yet, but it is happening. Like, I will not let 2020 pass me by and not have read this book. Next on my list is The Kingmaker by Kennedy Ryan. This is a new adult book that I've heard nothing but wonderful things about. I don't really know too much about it. I do like the cover. I think I'm gonna buy it digitally in order to read it. So those are all of the books that I have on my 2020 TBR. As I mentioned earlier, I'm trying to really have like a very well-rounded reading year. I really wanted to pull books from a whole bunch of different genres instead of kind of focusing on what I've always focused on. And I feel like I've got a really good mix going on here. Let me know if you've read anything that I've mentioned, and let me know what the one book that you absolutely have to read in 2020 is. That's all that I have for this video, so I will see you guys soon in a new one. Bye!